There's a 4-step framework, right? So I want to be able to express the thing that I've seen objectively, right? So kind of like when I heard you say the word proper, right? That's something that the camera can pick up, right? But how do we separate our observations from our judgments? Instead of saying like, when you were a bitch to me the other day, right? That's not an observation, that's a judgment of your actions.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you like just say, what is the observation without that? So just as objectively as possible. Then you say, okay, what did you feel? What did I feel in my body? How do I describe that? I felt scared. I felt sad. I felt alone. I felt activated. I felt like running away, right? And it's about how do you describe the feeling inside you? And it's not like a lot of people confuse their feelings and their thoughts. Like, I feel that Trump is horrible. That's not a feeling. That's a thought, right? That's a judgment. What is it, the body internally, just within you, what is that feeling? And then the tough part is expressing what is it that you need, right?
Okay.
And so like in nonviolent communication, they give you this kind of list, these cue cards, like here's a list of feelings, here's a list of needs. So for the first few months when I had it, I was just a robot. When I saw you do this, I felt this because I need this. Can you do this? And that's something that's common within nonviolent communication. If you're not comfortable with it at first, you kind of need to get the muscle memory, kind of like any sport, right?
Exactly, or exercising at the gym.
Yeah. You gotta build up those reps and get more comfortable with it. And as soon as I kind of was able to know what all of these needs are and what are the common needs that arise in me most often, and where did I get these needs from, whatever like mother wounds I got when I was younger or whatnot. And okay, I could link a lot of that to there. And then how do I express a request for a need being met rather than a demand?
That's a key word there. A request for something. Yeah. So you mentioned your girlfriend. So do you guys actively practice nonviolent communication? And
sure. Yeah. Well, I got into it before she did, and so like there was a bit of a learning curve that happened with her. I remember the first time she learned the 4-step framework of like I see, I feel, I need, and can you? I remember her first example was, I see that you're an asshole, and I feel that you're an asshole. I need you to not be an asshole, so can you stop being an asshole? It's hilarious. Absolutely, we were crying with laughter, way off the mark with nonviolence. But
she followed the
steps. She followed the steps, and it was great.
Can't blame her.
And we laugh about it to this day. And so now, like, we've gotten a lot better at it, at expressing ourselves with this. And you know, like a big challenge is like, it's easy for me to express like, hey, I've experienced something with a different friend that was challenging. Okay. And then like express that story to her, and she'd be like, wow, like I get that. It sounds like this and it feels like this. And she could really empathize and connect, and I could feel felt and heard. The biggest challenge is always like, hey, I feel something challenging within the relationship with you, with something that you've done. Because as soon as you like,
has she expressed that before?
Yeah.
And how have you guys addressed that then?
Oh, we've been very aware of this, and so like a lot of the times, like when I know that there's this conversation that needs to be had, like she's done something that I found pretty activating, then it always starts with like, well, number one, don't have the conversations at night. Right? When you're tired and when you're trying to go to bed, then your body isn't ready to hold space for somebody else. And I'm so guilty of doing that sometimes, even still. And I regret that. The ideal version of me that I do try to follow is like, hey, in the morning after we've had breakfast, after we've had our morning run and we've exercised and we've been able to get out some of this energy, then I'll ask like, hey, I want to be able to speak with you about something. And the conversation might be challenging. Do you have space to hear what's alive in me right now? Right? So
you speak like that.
Yeah. So it's a slow way, because sometimes when we feel something like, I just gotta fucking tell you right now, and you just let it all out, and we don't check if the other person's ready for it. Like they might be processing something else.
Good point.
Yeah, we just emotionally dump. Like now's the time. I feel it now. You're gonna process it now. And hang on, I'm not ready for this. And then if she's not ready, she could be like, okay, I'm not ready yet. I've got this that I'm going through. Can we reconnect in maybe an hour? And like, I think I'll be able to give you the space that I want to be able to give you. Because that's what we want. Because like conflict, I think for a lot of people, as soon as there's like, okay, one person feels something that the other person did that hurt them, then we get defensive and we get protective. And we're like, this is, instead of seeing as like, okay, so here's something that didn't work well. How can we calibrate in the future? This is an opportunity for us to do better.
Yeah.
And I usually give the example of like team sports. And I think a lot of people didn't grow up playing team sports while I grew up playing basketball.
Okay.
And I've been on some teams in which like, if I missed a shot and the other person on my team starts like telling me, oh, you fucked up and why'd you take that shot and this and that, then that team dynamic isn't really good and we don't play that well. But on the teams in which like if somebody misses a shot and they miss it a couple of times, then we could call a timeout. We could like take a little bit of breather from the game. You got to be like, okay, so let's drop a new plan. How about we try doing this? And how about we try doing that? How do we achieve our goals in different ways? Because the way that we've been doing it isn't really achieving the goals that we want to achieve. If you view you and your partner as a team, rather than like two people in like a relationship, like, hey, like I need this and I need this. How are we both as a team trying to achieve a shared goal together? And I think that kind of framework has really helped us acknowledge each other in different ways. And we have a phrase that we use for each other.
Okay.
Kind of safety phrase and says, you're safe. I'm your partner. Our love is bigger than this blank. And we're going to get through this together.
Oh, it's really beautiful.
And it kind of like helps us remember the spirit of like teamwork and companionship. And it helps us get through conflicts better. Again, not all the time.
You know? But you know that tool is there that you guys created together with this shared kind of mission of like knowing why we're together, why we want to be together, and why this phrase is here for us to remind us of that.
Yeah.
Oh, that is really beautiful. I like that.
Thank you.
Like